In Texas. The Trailblazer Poker Tour is coming to Texas Card House Houston from February 26th through March 10th. 10 big events, including the $100,000 guaranteed multi-flight and the $500,000 guaranteed main event. This is your second to last stop to rack up points in the Trailblazer Points Championship. First place wins a Chevy Trailblazer SUV. More details at texascardhouse.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a special final table presentation. This is the final table from our $200 100K guarantee multi-day tournament here at Texas Card House Houston from the Trailblazer event series. We have Garrett in seat 1, Jajin in seat 2, Jackson in seat 3, Shaw is in seat 7, Jackson seat 8, and Biscuit in seat 9. Anshul, I believe, is in seat 6, and I'm unfamiliar with seat 5. Get him introduced shortly. As we start off with Jackson, opening 2 jacks. Actually, a special shout out for Mr. Jackson. He wanted me to give a shout out for Iowa, as he's wearing the Iowa sweatshirts where he grew up from. And now we're going to have a clash starting off on the first hand. Jajin, the 2 biggest stacks, going to go to war. And the pay jumps in this tournament are serious. First place for this tournament, we had a hefty prize pool. We had a $279,520 prize pool for this tournament. And now Jackson goes all in with his ace queen.
Good mistake.
Another ace dead. That's not looking good for the ace queens.
Well, no, it saved me money.
Jackson folded his jacks, which were way ahead. See if Jajin can make. I mean, this is a cold 4-bet. It's gonna get through. It's a big win for Jackson, considering he got someone to fold jacks. But like I was saying, we have $40,170 up top. That's what first place is getting. Second place will be getting $27,560. Third, $18,870. Fourth, $12,930. Fifth, $9,340. Sixth, $7,340. Seventh, $6,110. Eighth, $5,060. And whoever goes out first will be getting at least everyone's guaranteed at least $4,190 for their troubles. That's not bad for a $200 tournament. Not bad at all. A pretty nice payday. Garrett moves all in with his 2-8s. Just picks it up. Ricky in seat 5, and like I said, Anshul in seat 6. These players have battled a very long time. They started at 2 p.m. yesterday, and this final table started right around midnight. Anshul really short here. Small blind versus big. This is with the blinds is what they are. I imagine this would just be a shove. The pay jumps are are pretty big though. I mean, this is 4 buy-ins for the from 9th to 8th. Wait, 1,747 entries to this tournament. A lot of people trying. Code HTN, I was under the impression that the 250K Guaranteed Dallas tournament streamed last night. Which is why we didn't stream ours. Otherwise, we would have streamed our final table as it was happening. I wasn't quite sure. Let me see if I can find that out for you. I've that's unfortunate, Code HDN.
Oh, okay.
You got to get those. Unfortunately, those hands have to hold. It's not easy. That's one of the hard things about tournament poker is your hands have to hold up.
I'm sure you're bummed about it.
Yeah. Darn it, damn dealer. He's 9C is upset.
If anyone else wins, there's an asterisk on any other win.
It is streaming. The 250K is streaming tonight. It will be streamed after this one, I believe. Separate channel, or on the TCH Live channel.
I don't think anyone's ever quietly run aces in a spot like that.
Yeah, no.
You gotta
You have to get real mad.
gotta get a little empathy.
Oh, that's a brutal one. It's a brutal one, Code HDN. Are you gonna fire in the main, starting here this week? For those of y'all that don't know, we have our $800 entry, $500,000 guaranteed tournament starting this week, starting this Wednesday. Should be an exciting one. Jeffrey all in with ace-10. Perfectly fine decision. The blinds are what they are.
Mr. Jeffrey.
I think it's 250, 250.
My last hand was better.
Oh, so same thing, same result.
No wonder that's why you keep putting the card there. Like I just don't. I just want to grab it before you grab mine. Yeah. No, a lot of
Oh, we don't have any people
take it away right away.
grabbing stuff. Biscuits. We got a rough one. Now just sitting with what looks like 2 big blinds. Hey, Rebel Poker, how you doing? Glad to see you in the chat. Hope you had a fantastic weekend joining us for the conclusion of this tournament.
Ricky D. Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Jackson with 2 5s on the button. Gonna raise it up. Biscuit's chip stack a little misrepresented. Not quite all in for 325. He's got quite a bit more than that. He probably has. I saw at least a couple 500K. So these two players will be going to war. Well, Rebel, I actually have not heard back from them yet. I spoke with our AGM, and they will ask our live team about it. Hopefully, I do have an answer for you this Thursday, though, when we go live. I will ask again when I get a chance. Easy takedown with fives. It is. Get these stacks updated. There we go. Biscuit's got a much better, healthier looking stack at 2.78 million, not the 300 something thousand it said. That's not quite what he had. Jackson really putting the pressure on. I like this. Showing the power of the big stack. Late position. I believe Shaw's stack is very short, but a Biscuit just gonna rip his 3.4 million. It kind of sucks having the short stack or the big stack right behind you, because you know he can gamble with you a lot. You can't make a lot of moves because if he realizes you're making a lot of moves, then he's just going to punish you and 3-bet a lot. Biscuit with a good pickup with 2 10s. I mean, these players have played a lot with each other over the day. So I imagine they know what each other is capable of doing. Lots of moves being made. Jackson, seat 8 Jackson. I have to differentiate between these two. There's Jackson and Jackson. But Jackson made a really cool bluff when I was watching earlier, before they made it to the final table. Really, really creative, really cool. So he's very capable of doing some stuff. Really puts his chips to work. Ricky thinking what he wants to do with ace-4 suited. Just over 10 bigs. Very close. It depends on how light you think people are shoving. This is too good of a hand to pass up with the Angel stack. Look at that 4 bigs. Yeah, it's going to go in the middle. King 9 suited looks real good with this many bigs. Biscuit gonna flick in the call with 2 6s. See if we're gonna get 2 people attempting to eliminate him. Sixes first king 9, the flip. No king or 9 yet. King on the river. Good double for Ancho. Very good double. Big double. He needed that. One of the things in terms you can collect blinds as many times as you want, but when your stack is as short as his, you need to double up. You collect blinds once every orbit. You're still going to be a short stack.
First, yeah, scarves too. They cost a lot, but scarves.
We've really gotten to the point where everybody's kind of in their element. Biscuit gonna rip in the king jack off with shy of 10 big blinds. And the hijack. He's gonna get through. That's a big win for Biscuit. That's a hand that you're okay if you get called because usually you have decent equity. But when you pick up the blinds with a hand like that, and you still have plenty more hands left to see, you're okay with that. Rubber Poker, will you be doing the Trailblazer? Any of the Trailblazer stuff when they make that stop? And show with the decision now. 10 big blinds, ace 11, almost 11. Ace 10 off under the gun. He can open this, he can shove it. Opening it looks very strong. I imagine he's gonna, when you open it, you're gonna be opening aces to the sizing, kings to the sizing too. And then you're gonna be shoving some of your weaker hands. And so, like 8s, 7s, 6s, the weaker pairs, and then maybe some ace kings. It's a good pickup though. It's really hard to balance. Like it's one of the cool things about short stack plays. Once you get to the 10, 11 big blinds, when several people are around that, you can start doing these sizings. The 8, 10, 8, 9, 10. 5 and less big blinds, it's just all going to get in there. You want to make sure when you have the best hand, or chance of having the best hand, you get the money in the max. Or if you have the worst hand, and when you do make the best hand, they would fold, you can get the max. That extra fold equity matters a lot, and that extra chips, the extra chips you get when you do wind up making the best hand matters a lot as well. Biscuit just gonna basic effective jam this. Gonna bet 3 million. This is an effective jam. No one's gonna bet this size and ever fold. I say that, and people have probably done it before, but it's gonna get folds out of a lot of hands that wouldn't normally get would maybe be interesting. Like there's a jack 10 of clubs that hit them up. When someone's opening to 2x or 2.5x of the big blind, the call, it looks a lot more attractive to call with those hands, whereas when someone's effective jamming, it much less attractive option. Shaw's stack has been fixed. 13.575 million chips. That's a lot of chips.
How you doing? Thank you, Mariana.
Yeah. 2 players under 10 bigs. 2 players. 3 players just over 10, or 2 players just over 10. Biscuit right around the 14, 15 big blind mark. Jackson, Jajan, and Jackson all sitting similarly, and then Shaw sitting pretty at top. Interesting. 2-hour max. How does that work? Putting a time limit max. Does everyone just split the money? If after 2 hours there's no winner? Well, I guess if you did 10-minute levels, it's 12 levels for a 9-seated sit and go. Two jacks for Ricky on the button versus undergun open from Biscuit. This is more than good enough to go with. Thinking about what he wants to do. I'm very confused as to how. Oh, winning chip stack after 2 hours takes first. That's wild. If that's Ricky just with the call. This is very much an ICM call. Thinks his chips are worth a little more because it's 900. It's a $900 jump from 9th to 8th. Shaw gonna defend the big blind with 8-7. 8-7 gonna connect, but not good enough. Jack's still way out in front. This will likely get checked through. No. Biscuit gonna take the betting lead. Jack's still good enough if he wants to continue for at least one street. The problem is his hand can't take much more heat. You beat all of the flush draws, although you do block some of the ones you want him to have. This is one of the problems with not shoving it pre, is people are just going to be able to put max pressure on these overcards when they don't actually have a hand. I don't necessarily think it's what he did was wrong, because Biscuit opening from the spot he should be opening. I don't think he's going to have a hand as weak as Queen 10 offsuit very often. In fact, I think a lot of the hands he has will be flipping with anyways. There are a couple hands that he would open that we would be dominating. Makes a very disciplined laydown. Unfortunately, the wrong one at this time. See, Shaw for sure going to peel at least one. Flop a pair. Queen of spades on the turn. Biscuit turns second pair. Shaw with a spade in his hand, though. This will very likely go check-check. Biscuit now with showdown value. He's beating all the 8s and 4s that Shaw could call with. But Shaw with a flush draw. He could try and rep it. Does check it. I imagine Biscuit as the raiser is going to be playing a lot of checks on this turn. Great card for Biscuit. Less likely Shaw has an ace. Much more likely he has an 8 or 4 when it goes check check. But he's just going to check his showdown. Good pickup for Biscuit.
Should've jammed it. Fuck, look at the far back.
Ricky Matty didn't jam.
Call.
In the hindsight, very easy to figure out that you should have jammed when
That's 602 minimum. He's
the
behind. I would've
the
called
person
him.
shows queen 10 off. They raise from that earlier position.
Knew it.
Ricky's losing only 2 blinds, and that still leaves him with six big blinds left. He's still basically the same as Mr. Jeffrey in terms of stack depth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot all about it. Oh, again? Is it good?
Dirty diaper, not good for Biscuit. This is a hand that you would definitely open from the button with a big stack. And if you weren't worried about the pay jumps, you could consider jamming. It's going to play well versus a lot of the calls. You're flipping with a lot of the bad pairs. You still have about 40% against the 2 overs. Shaw going to limp king 9. Jackson going to raise ace high. Pretty standard. Shaw for this price, I think could go both ways. King 9 is a pretty bad hand. You'd much rather be the raiser than the defender out of position with that hand. So it just decides to let it go. Ace, good, nice takedown with ace high. For just the blind and getting your ante back, that feels pretty good because you don't have to play for it. A lot of Dave's, or Shaw's calling range is going to do pretty well against that. It represent a lot of different board textures. So can you, as Jackson's range isn't, you can see isn't just premium.
I didn't hustle either. Anytime I hustle to get back, I never do that stuff. I just thought it was casual.
Jackson with queen jack suited, 20 big blinds. We're gonna open this one up. Run back to your seat just in time to look down at the ace 4. The fake aces. Jackson with jacks. See that 10 times fast. It always feels bad to consider folding these really pretty Broadway hands, but especially in tournaments, the value of these really pretty Broadway hands when your stack is so short goes down significantly. Queen Jack suited, always fantastic hand to see a flop with, especially in cash. But in these tournaments, it just doesn't play well versus the 3-better. It's also very unfortunate that Ricky, all three of the short stacks are right next to each other. This is just an unfortunate seating arrangement. You have to worry about the other short stacks showing up with something behind you. I mean, the last short stack gets off easiest. I believe Unshul can shove the lightest out of them because of this configuration. Jackson most certainly going to raise a6 suited on the button. Yeah, just going to let go of King 9 off. Not as much blind defending as I would have thought. I know there are a lot of people have different thoughts on what you should defend your big blind with, at what stack depths, and how frequently. With Garrett with just 10 big blinds, a lot of people don't mind defending the King 9 off. It's just a little more than one more big blind. You've already got your ante and the big blind in there. You're getting 4 to 1 on your money, almost 5 between. So the price is good. The hand's reasonable versus a button open. You can play some post-flop poker, but there's nothing wrong with just folding it, trying to find a better spot to preserve your chips. See, this is what I'm talking about. Ace Deuce suited with Mr. Jeffrey stack becomes a lot more attractive when you have much more normal size stacks behind you that they can get punished for. But these guys can, I mean, if they look at anything reasonable, they're very much likely to stick it in. (10-9) suited for Jackson. Bad ace high in the muck. Jajin, 21 big blinds. Let's see if he wants to defend the Queen 8. Doesn't want to defend. The TCH social in Las Colinas is very nice. I love it. I've only been there once. Had a great time. The games were good. The venue was absolutely amazing. All the short stacks. Shaw gonna raise this 8-6 suited as the big stack, most certainly. Once again, we're in the conundrum. Later, Code HDN. Glad you joined us for the small bit. Hope you have a good evening. Jackson gonna defend the King 9. I like this defend with 20 big blinds. Ace high remains the best hand. Flops best. Shaw can go both ways. We have an ace that doesn't beat an ace. Good turn for our specific hand. Jackson's gonna check. Shaw, once again, both options are fine, bet or check. Checking would help him defend his range, keep some strong hands in his checking range. Does Jackson think Shaw ever checks two aces? This may come into 11 thing. We have king high. We can beat random queen high, but I think queen high stabs the flop, queen 10 or queen jack. I don't think king 9 has a whole lot of showdown value, but it does have some. Question in Shaw's mind now is there any value to be gotten? Can I get called by 5? Can I get called by 4 and 8? He thinks so. Bet's really small. I mean, Jackson, for this price, king high is looking a lot better. King queen would have just taken the showdown value. King jack likely as well. I think all of those king high variants, king 10, king jack, king queen, would have just taken the showdown, but Jackson thinks better of it, makes the discipline lay down. Good fold. This is where you start leveling yourself. Or you can start leveling yourself and coming up with some weird calls. I always find myself overthinking it and trying to come up with the hands he is bluffing with, and then I start thinking way outside of the box. I know tournament poker is less creative than cash game poker in a lot of these spots. People just don't. Just the nature of the game, unless someone's going bananas, you don't see people, you know, showing up with like the 10-7 off, my favorite hand, very often. Been a very calm final table so far. No one getting super out of line. Everyone just willing to wait patiently while the 3 short stacks. Blind versus blind? Yeah, this is a... I like this shove by Jackson. And Mr. Jeffrey has a mandatory call with a pair. We don't have 10 bigs. We're flipping. Jackson wins the flip. Mr. Jeffrey, good run. Well played. Out in 9th for $4,190. Well played, sir. Not a bad return on a $200 tournament. Not a bad return. Oops, didn't mean to make that go away. Now, the next person eliminated will get at least $5,060. A little $900 pay jump.
7 clubs in the small blind. Big blind was short, called it off before.
Yep. Shaw said it simple and sweet.
Ace queen, ace jack.
He's queen 3.
Ace queen 3, jack. Whatever.
Unavoidable when you're a short stack. And raising, min clicking it.
Thank you.
Jackson just making, kind of agonizing over the queen 7. Angel's sizing such that if someone comes over the top, he's very likely going to be able to get away from the hand. I like this sizing. Once again, you choose some stronger hands, some weaker hands. You mix it in. Angel's going to do it with aces here. Kings. Makes it very hard to defend against. Ricky in the big blind with queen 9 off. Just can't. It's such a feel bad spot. You're putting a fourth of your remaining stack in. If you flop a pair, you flop a draw, you have to go with it. Based on pot size and stack size. If we call this raise. Does make the call. A little bit of gambling, Ricky. I like it. Not in particular bad shape versus Angel's actual hand. Angel connects to the flop enough that he's gonna for sure go with it. Ricky just shoves the queen 9 high. Yeah, I think our hand is, we just have too much hand to fold here. If Ricky has flopped a pair of 8s or 5s, we have 1 over and a gut shot. So we're getting a pretty good price. Coincidentally, we actually just have the best hand. I know this is a tough spot, but if we're gonna raise the ace 4 of spades, we're getting 2 to 1 on our money. A little better than 2 to 1. 2.5 to 1 on our money. Does make the call. Ricky at risk with queen high. Angel just needs to fade a queen or a 9. Or turn an ace or a deuce to seal it up. Nine for Ricky. Just on the turn. Big 9 for Ricky. Gets a huge double up. That's a huge 9 for Ricky. Now, Angel just shy of 8 bigs, and Ricky at 12. No Rebel, we will not be streaming day 2 of the main event here. We will, as far as I understand, we will only be streaming the final table. I know some places do day 2s of their mains for streams, but we don't. Shaw with 2 5s under the gun. We're at 200, 400, 400. We're gonna raise, especially with these 2 short stacks in the small blind. Biscuit making the call with ace 5 suited. Don't see this getting mixed in a lot in this config. It's when chip leader raises, you usually see 3-better fold out of the ace 5 suited in late position, especially with 2 short stacks. Getting a super good price. Just gonna fold. Now Shaw with way the best hand. They're gonna have to navigate. No 5, no ace. The problem is Biscuit's calling range is going to contain a lot of these cards. King, Queen, King, Jack, Queen 10, King 10, Ace 10. even ace queen. So he's actually got good coverage on this board. So Shaw can't see bit away like a maniac. But his hand is going to be the best hand pretty reasonably. I do think this is a bluff. I don't think this is value or equity denial versus Biscuit's perceived range. It just so happens Biscuit has one of those hands that Shaw's in great shape against. And when Biscuit just mucks, that's a huge win.
What move? Thank you.
I'm excited for the main event. I'm hoping I get a chance to play. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see if I can make that happen. Talk with some people. Good pickup by Shaw, though, with fives. The value of these suited aces go up the deeper you are. The shallower you are, the value goes down unless you're in shoving territory. Reaction, ace-9 and cutoff. Well worth an open. Jackson, one of the familiar faces. You see him in all the different tournaments here of all levels. Very familiar with tournament play. Ricky with a monster. Ace-king suited. 11 bigs. Or, no, not even that. Sorry, 8 bigs. This is 8 bigs. This is just going to go in the middle. I'm astonished. I don't know what else to say other than that. I mean, the jacks just called pre-flop. I think Anshul being so short, he just wanted to ladder because now there's an $1,100 pay jump between 7th and 8th, and Anshul is at risk now. Very surprised that Ace King hit the muck. King in the window would have been a good one for Ricky. Queen's gonna find a double up for Anshul. Big double up for him too. Yeah, Ricky telling them he folded Ace King of Diamonds. That's not something I would be telling people you're folding. This short-handed. This is just not information you want to be sharing with players. That you're just folding Ace King of Diamonds because of the ICM implications. Is going to allow them to put maximum pressure on you. The absolute maximum pressure.
Why don't they have my name on there?
It's just wild. I'm not a big fan of that fold, as y'all can tell. Jackson gonna call small blind versus big blind. We got two real hands here. No one hits this. Very good for the big blind defending range, very bad for the small blind raising range. See if Jackson realizes this. He could very much take the betting initiative. Just checks it behind. Not a good card for Shaw. Jackson could still take the betting initiative and very likely win this hand. Shaw would be betting to try and get queen high, other queen highs, king highs, even some weird ace highs. A hand like ace 8 or even ace 9 to fold. I'm not sure how often that would work. This also denies equity versus hands like jack 9. A hand like Jackson has 8-9 suited. Jackson gonna turn his hand into a bluff. I like this. Very, very aware of the range advantage he has on this board. Jackson would very likely check back some fours and like ace four offsuit. I can see where you're coming from, Rebel, with that, but I think SPR pot odds, the direct math for hands does apply, especially when your hand has a certain amount of value attached to it. For instance, if I'm getting 8-1 to call in a pot and I am drawing to the nut flush or the nut straight, I'm never going to fold because mathematically you're getting a better price than the odds are to make your hand. I'm a big math guy. I'm not saying that live reads aren't a thing. I think that real-time adjustments need to be made in games for different players for different reasons. ICM has its applications as well, though. A lot of people. Garrett's all in with ace jack off or ace jack suited. Excuse me. Two jacks dead, but that's okay. He has the best jack. ICM much more important when you have big pay jumps, big money in play. I mean, that's, I guess the word big is all relative too. Angel making a great laydown, knowing that Garrett, the way he's been playing, not getting too out of line. Jackson, very likely to make this call. 2-10s. I mean, that's six big blinds. We're going to be flipping a lot. And then we're going to have, Garrett's going to be shoving 8s, 9s, 7s, 6s, 5s. He might be folding deuces through 4s. But I mean, yeah, Jackson makes the call, and now Garrett's racing first tournament life. Garrett looking for an ace jack or 2 hearts. 2 jacks are dead, though. Unfortunate. Good flop for 2-10s. Good turn for 2-10s. Needs to dodge an ace or jack. And he does. Garrett will be eliminated. Unfortunately, Garrett eliminated in 8th place. $5,060 to him. Good job, Garrett. Well played. Next player will get at least $6,110. Once again, it's a pretty good payday for a $200 buy-in tournament. I do think ICM matters a lot more at, say, the bubble. Let's say you have 6 big blinds and you bought into the tournament for exactly 1 bullet, right? And the next person that busts is the bubble boy, right? And the min cash is let's say 2.2x your buy-in. I think the value of your chips is worth less. The ICM, this is where a spot where ICM matters, because the chip value of your stack now is less than that ladder that payout you would get. So that's a spot where I think ICM matters more than, say, here. Here, I think specifically, as a very competitive person, I would be trying to win the tournament. Yes, the pay jumps are huge. There's so many different factors in poker. That's why we love it, though. It's very rare that two people will play a hand of poker the exact same way another two random people would play the hand of poker. They could play it very similarly, but very unlikely that it will play the same.
2.4,
Which is why it's cool.
up to the small blind. He calls ace jack of hearts 10. Ace 10 hole.
Jackson,
You got one table, buddy.
Jackson chipping up quite well. Open 2-3s. Biscuit gonna make the call with ace jack off. JJ in the small line with king queen off. Gonna shove. I like this move from Jajin. Biscuit's kind of capped his range here. King queen plays very well versus that range. It's gonna be lots of small medium pairs, some weak broadways, some weak aces. Jackson doesn't want to flip, especially when Biscuit's capable of having 9s, 10s. Ace Jack is, and when we call as Biscuit, Ace Jack is kind of towards the top of it, but it's still not great. Good play by Jajin. It's a good pickup by him too. Not any resistance against two better hands. I think the only way that hand would have changed is if Biscuit somehow found a 3-bet pre-flop. Jajin very likely would have bucked. It's just so hard. Juggernaut not going to cut it for Jajin. Jackson with just the 9 of diamonds going to give Ricky a walk. Ricky had at least another 9. I imagine Jack 9, 10-9 plus would have been raising or limping. So I don't think Jackson's kicker was better than the 6. Very likely a 3, 4, 2, 5. Very likely. 9-8 would have limped. 9-7 would have limped. So it's very likely 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jackson really getting dealt the thunder today. Playing well too. JJ with king queen again. Just gonna muck it. I think this one's borderline. I think you can go all 3 routes. Call, fold, raise. Fold, call, raise. Whatever you want to put the thing. Angel thinking his choices through. He's very short. Don't mind this fold. I think the way our stack size is, we'd want to shove or fold it. Call is the least attractive option. Ace-5 is not going to play well post-flop. And I don't think Jackson's going to give up the aggression. So I like the fold. Just wait for a better spot. I do feel like had it been suited, he could have gone for it very easily. Jackson, king queen now. JJ with 2 7s has got a decision. He can call. He can raise. He could fold even. Shaw folding. 2 7s away the best hand. Jackson with 2 overs and a gut shot. Does check. I don't think Jajin's range is going to have a lot of 9s. Maybe 10-9 suited. I don't think he's going to have 9-8 suited very often. As you can see, there's only 2 combos of 9-8 suited. I don't think he's going to have Jack-9 suited, Queen-9 suited. I think this is going to be a lot of 10x in pairs. And let's see how Jackson wants to play versus that. Does make the call. As you can see, with their exact hands, he's flipping. Nice clean turn for Jajin. The way Jackson's played this, I would think... Yeah, I would think my 7s are the best hand. I like the way Jajin has played this. Max pressure. Max pressure versus a hand like Ace-King, Ace-Queen, King-Queen. I think Queen-Jack would have bet itself. It's a nice pickup for Jajin. Very nice pickup. Jajin very slowly chipping up. 10 million. Rebel, I mean, it's going to be all on the context of the hand. I personally have no problem risking half my stack to eliminate 2 players. But that being said, it's all going to depend on lots of different factors. The players, pay jumps, how much 50% of my stack is actually worth. Like if I have 50% of the chips, if I have 50% of the chips in play, and I have to risk 50% of or 25% of my chips and still be left with 25% of the chips in play, that's not a bad place to be. I mean, assuming that there are, you know, a reasonable number of players left. At a final table like this, I'm very much trying to win. So I would very much take a flip for half my stack to try and eliminate 2 players. Anshul shoving the ace-10. It's going to get through. Way the best hand. Good pickup. Gets to live to see another day. I mean, but Rebel, this is where ICM. This is an ICM question. Realistically, how much do you think your stack is worth versus how much it actually is worth? And then if you don't follow or care about ICM, then you're just trying to win the tournament. Then it becomes the other factors start to influence it as well. I like this shove by Biscuit. 8 big blinds over Jackson's very wide button range.
I mean, how much is it?
This is kind of for to save face.
I mean, I can't. I mean, where am I gonna go? There's nowhere to go.
He's getting an incredible price. Oh, it's 2.3 million. He's getting an incredible price. His hand is very bad though.
Wide.
And if his cards are indeed live, he should be making the call.
I mean, I have to call. I mean,
Jackson doing it purely based on math. I like it. A very logical thought process.
can't fold. I mean, when you're
Just
behind, you
hoping
can't
his
fold.
cards are live, and they are.
Defense in a 6 or a
Biscuit needs to
4.
dodge a 6 or a 4. 4 right on the flop. Looking for an ace or a 10. No dice. Biscuit will be eliminated in 7th. That is unfortunate.
Hot, buddy.
Jackson is indeed running hot.
Just playing my position.
Yep.
Playing my position.
Biscuit eliminated in 7th for $6,110. Good job, Biscuit. Well played to get there.
Play my position, then you never know. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. Who knows? Never know.
Jackson very much willing to gamble as he has shown, and I like it. I like it, and this is how you run away with a tournament. Chat. He's playing well. He's running well. Decisions very logical. That's how it starts. Ricky. 8 big blinds. His thought process. Does he want to shove or does he want to fold? They're 6-handed now. 6th place, you're going to get at least $7,348 for their troubles. Still 2 short stacks. Anshul and Ricky. Shaw going to raise his ace in the cutoff. 6-handed.
Go Hawkeyes, yep.
Jackson with the sketchy ace, the big blind.
Oh, yeah.
I think all 3 options are on the table. If Jackson thinks Shaw is opening too light, he can do this. It is for only 13 big blinds. Ace-6, much better shoving hand than calling hand. You really don't want to be calling it off here. When you're calling it off, you're really hoping he shows you a hand like King-Queen, which then you're kind of flipping with. Does make a disciplined laydown. Good pickup by Jackson. Well aware of what Shaw could be doing. Raising very light. Anshul, his chips are going to get in the middle. Going to take a little time to think about it. This is very much going in. We have just over 6 big blinds. It's very hard mathematically to get better than this. Jajin, our hand doesn't look good. Jackson, queen high in the muck. Ricky with 8 high, not going to make this call. Anshul's very likely going to pick up the blinds and antes to live another round. This would be very uncharacteristic of Ricky, based on what he's shown us throughout the night in this tournament. This would be, I hope I eliminate him and double up. Just shows his 2 cards face up. Shaw giving it a laugh.
You had a feeling?
No, I just feel if we little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen players do some weird things in poker based off gut feeling, superstition, stuff like that. Poker's wild. Chat. Poker's wild. Hey, I saw wild stuff in this tournament. I saw wild stuff happen to Shaw in this tournament that I dealt to him. JJ with 2 jacks.
Quick, Wiz.
Won't be folding this hand at any point in time pre-flop.
You barked or throwing
See what
it
size he wants to choose for his raise. No one with anything.
Joe. Joe.
Sometimes when you get dealt a hand, no one gets dealt anything. That's part of poker. In tournaments, you really hope someone has just a little bit worse, though. Really hope. In cash, it's okay. You just pick up whatever cash and move on. In tournaments, really hoping. Jackson, ace-5 suited in the cutoff. You might shove this. I could see opening, yeah, opening small, especially with these 2 small stacks. Shaw with just an ace in the big blind. Probably going to defend this. I imagine Jackson. I mean, we've seen Jackson, very capable player of shoving light, raising light. An ace in the big blind. We got to mix in some of these as a call versus these light opens. Shaw just makes the fold though. Would rather pick another spot. Don't blame him. Anshul and Ricky sitting very short. Ricky with 4.5 bigs. Anshul with 6 and change bigs. Ace-10 suited, good looking hand, 6-handed. Jack-9 suited is a good looking hand, 6-handed, but in tournaments it's not great. Ricky king high in the muck. This is going to go in the middle. We could consider folding this. We're just flipping versus a raise. I would rather, 5s is a hand I'd rather be open shoving, not shoving over a raise. Yeah, Anshul realizes that too. We're just going to get called a lot by the under the gun raiser. And we're hoping to be flipping. Jackson going to make a loose defend here. 2 live cards, although 2 of the 5s are dead. Jajin flopping, Jin, trip 10s, ace kicker. Checks it back, very surprising. I'd imagine this would be a flop that I would see bet pretty frequently. Jackson gonna rep a 10. Of course, Jajin going nowhere. Gonna just raise it up immediately. His hand looks about as strong as it actually is. I don't know how often JJ would do this with a hand that contains just two hearts. I don't think he's going to be getting out of line very often. Actually, I think Ace 10 suited is going to be one of the stronger hands. I'd expect a hand like aces or kings or ace queen a lot when he does that. There's a good fold by Anshul for his. I mean, a lot of people would have just stuck it in, but he thought it through, found the correct line. He's made it this far doing that as well. He's picked his spots well. Ricky probably gonna stick this in. We have less than six big blinds. Oh, just decides to fold. There aren't a whole lot of better spots than that. I'm very shocked he didn't stick that in. Jackson gonna raise king mystery card. Rebel, that's one of the things about poker. You still had 3 live outs. I think the shove would have worked for Ricky, and it would have been a good pickup for him. This for sure is going to go in the middle. If yeah, 2 8s, way strong enough to put in the middle. Fold equity, super powerful thing here. 9-3 not going to do it. See what Jackson wakes up with. 2 10s. Oh, this is poor timing. I mean, this is... Yeah, he's going to make the call. Ricky at risk. No more action. Ricky looking for an 8. Eight alone will keep his tournament dreams alive. That is not an 8. That is straight for Jackson. Nice try, Ricky. Ricky eliminated in 6th place for a cool $7,340. That's not a bad payday. Not a bad payday at all. Now we're getting to a $2,000 pay jump to 5th place. 5th will be exiting with at least $9,340. Good finish, Ricky. Well played, well deserved. Good payday. Now there were 5. There are 5. There are, my English no good. I love short-handed poker. I think this is some of the most fun poker you can have. There's so many cool things you can do in short-handed poker you cannot do in full ring. You gotta actually play. Jackson with king queen off on the button. Good pickup. 6-4 suited. Angel being very patient. He's the only short stack left. Everyone else has a healthy chunk. Now the pace of play is going to change again. A lot more waiting before, or a lot of waiting before, a little bit more gambling, though, because there were 2 short stacks. They knew that they were kind of playing chicken, waiting for each other to bust. But now these bigger stacks can start to battle with each other a little more, with only 1 short stack to fend off. This is going to get in the middle. 2 10s. Jackson does not have a calling hand. The queen 5
How
offsuit.
much is it?
It is. Jackson wants to gamble.
Here.
Jackson willing to gamble. Does.
Wait, 1 million?
Jackson calls it off with queen 5. Very surprised.
$1 million more. I'm feeling
Looking-
a queen. This is sick.
Looking for a queen.
No, I'm not.
No queen yet. Still needs a queen. Now a queen or 5. No dice. Angel with a very timely double. Very good for him. He needed that.
Perfect amount. I can't fold for $1 million more.
I'm all on gambling. I like that. I like the spirit of Jackson. Now Angel has a little bit of breathing room. Not a lot.
That would be a
but
bad big stack if I folded that. That'd be bad.
I don't think that fold is terrible.
Very poor.
It's not good for TV either.
It's bad for TV. It's boring.
It's definitely bad for TV if you fold. No, I don't disagree with that statement. Jackson with jacks.
Jacks for Jackson.
Bet you he says that all the time. I'm gonna ask him next time.
We should have put our.
Sometimes poker is bingo, Rebel.
I was joking before this. I said I'm betting on Jackson. Before this.
2 out of 9, huh?
2 out of 9.
Jason, ace 5 suited in the small blind. See how he wants to play this. He can call, he can raise small, he can raise big. 2.5 big blind raise. Don't. King 3 offsuit going to be defended here in the big blind from Jackson. Jackson not afraid of playing little blind versus blind. Does not improve. Jason flops best. A flop, I imagine he's going to be betting a lot. This is a hefty bet, though. Jackson can't even speculate and float with king high now. Hefty bet. Imagine if Jason had bet something smaller. Jackson could have gotten fancy, floated with king high, and tried to do some stuff, but that sizing, nope, we out. Ace 3 shooter for Jackson. Queen 4 offsuit. Just gonna surrender it.
Robbery.
Pretty good give up. I don't.
He's robbing us blind, guys.
What?
He is indeed robbing with the best hand.
I'm an innocent kid.
We're just allowing it.
I'm a child. Not even old enough to be here.
That's my big blind, buddy.
Oh shit, sorry.
Not this.
Oh, thank you.
Told you he's robbing us.
I mean, that was true.
I'm not a big fan of playing in 2-card treble poker. At least not in cash. In tournament, I think there's a time and a place for it. Earlier, when all 3 of the short stacks were playing so tight, I actually think is the loosest it should have been. Angel shoving the jack deuce suited. I'm surprised. And king queen is definitely going to make the call. Angel very live though. Angel at risk of going out in sixth. Jack on the flop. Looking for a king, queen, or 10. Does not find one. Angel with another very timely double up.
Cockroach. That used to be my nickname, Cockroach.
I don't mind the shove either. I don't think Shaw. I think it's going to get a fold out of Shaw's king 3 offs, king deuce offs. So a lot of those really bad offsuit hands. Shaw and Angel now neck and neck at the bottom. Jackson and Jackson continuing to chip up since the beginning. Angel with a suited ace on the button. Let's see how he wants to do this. The blinds have gone up. This is
Not the time.
not the time. Jackson understands that it is not the time indeed. Angel with another timely pickup. Jackson with ace jack suited now. Seeing some premiums go around. Nice pickup by Jackson. We're at such a stage where picking up the blinds and antes is big. Every time you win with no resistance, the blinds and antes, you pick up 1.25 million chips. And considering that's a quarter of Shaw's stack, that's a pretty big deal. Angel now opening it up now that he has a little bit of a stack to play with. No longer in just the shover fold range. Does have the best hand pitched up. Good chip up, starting to play some poker. Gives him a little bit of breathing room. Jackson suited for Jason on the button. This one's gonna be raised.
Look who it is.
Angel with 2 5s in the big blind. Gonna defend at least. Does make a shove. I don't mind this jam over a button open. And then, instead of flipping with Jack 10 suited, he takes it down pre. Well played. Really picking up momentum. Really chipping up. Playing well, running well. Good chipping up by Anshul. Anshul. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. So we get a dealer change. See what these players are playing for again. First is going to get a cool $40,170. And fifth place, what these players are currently playing for, will get at least $9,340. The pay jumps are starting to get kind of big. Next pay jump $2,000 or $3,000 and or $3,600 almost. The next pay jump almost $6,000. The next pay jump almost $9,000, and then the last pay jump, of course, massive, almost $13,000. Shaw on the short stack now needs to find a double up, but with the blind levels as such and the way the stacks are, it's going to be very easy for these numbers to change. Jackson waking up with rockets, could not ask for a better spot. Top 2 chip stack, the bullets. JJ with Jack 9 suited, thinks better of it, just folds. Anshul folds. Let's see if there's anything in Shaw to defend with. Looks like Shaw's doing some inventory. He has a hand that defends the blinds very well. I imagine that's what he's going to do. Diamond for Jackson, no diamond for Shaw. Jackson has a hammer lock on this hand. Can he get any value out of Shaw? Curious to see what sizing he chooses. Go small, I like it. Shaw has not any hand on this yet, just mucks it. The rich get richer. Shaw sitting at about 7.5 big blinds now. Gonna need to find something pretty soon. I mean, these players are not incredibly deep for a final table. Jackson only has 30 big blinds. The other Jackson has about 25. Jajin's got 20. Still room for play, but the stack sizes are very, very shallow. See if Anshul's going to open this one up. I believe so. Worth an open on the button. Shaw folding Jack 5. Jackson going to defend the A6 off. Very defendable hand.
Jack dark.
Player checks in the dark, even though it's pretty. Check dark gets a lot of bad rap. We have middle pair, top kicker versus bottom pair. And we're gonna bet this does have range advantage. Has more kings, but Jackson has more 6s and 5s. Definitely gonna call. Domination rotation. Anshul turns trips. It's a very, very concealed trips. Anshul gonna continue betting for value. Let's see what sizing he chooses. Now trying to extract value from straight draws, 6s, worse 5s, and kings. Doesn't go too big. Goes about third pot. %40 pot, something like that. Jackson, a non-believer, makes the call. And when we call with the A6, we're going to have to call down some rivers. Nothing funner than runner. Anshul makes a full house. knows he has the best hand. The way the hand is played, we only lose to sixes and king five. That's it. And then there are a ton of hands to get value from. I think I'm very curious to see what bet sizing he wants to choose. It's not all in. I like the sizing. I think all of it would for sure gotten to fold out to Jackson. Now Jackson is very interested. Question is, what hands do we beat? I think Anshul would be checking back a 6 for showdown value as it chops with a lot of the 6s that call you down. And you don't need to expose your stack versus a 5 or a king. A king would continue betting. I guess another question is, would Anshul bet a jack? We beat none of his value. So you'd have to have a hand like ace queen high.
Five in stereo at all? I could easily have a 5.
Could very easily have a 5. But I think you could also have lots of weak kings. You also have lots of missed straight draws.
Sorry.
It's an interesting spot for Jackson's hand. Very interesting spot.
I have a tab with set deal.
Someone called the clock on me. Can I call the clock on myself?
You can call the clock on yourself. In fact, it happens more often than players realize. Is a player will call the clock on themselves when they can't make a decision. I'm not saying it happens a lot.
Over there. What?
You can not ask someone to call the clock on you, but you can call the clock on yourself. I believe so, at least. I've seen it done before.
Floor on 28.
Quite a weird spot, especially the way the hand is played. Jackson is going to have to call down some rivers.
Yeah.
Does make the call and gets shown a full house.
Nice hand.
It's a very nice pickup by Anshul.
No wonder you weren't worried about the 5. You had it.
I'm kind of at loss for that hand. It's such a wild hand. I don't blame him for making the call. Like I said, he was gonna have to call some rivers.
6 bets, 1.1 million.
3.575. 575.
Anshul raises in the button. Now is the big stack. Shaw gets one through. Good pickup. Good pickup by Shaw. Chipping up. Now him and Jackson are sitting at the bottom. They were sitting pretty at the top at the beginning of the stream. They're in the danger zone now. 12 big blinds for Shaw, 13 big blinds for Jackson. And show the chip leader now. Slowly chipped up. The pace of play has changed.
Recorded, I can see what you have when I watch later. I mean,
Jackson gets a walk in the big blind with the best hand.
Can't be the king even. Just dumb. Dumb.
Just to think, Anshul just 30 minutes ago was sitting at 6 big blinds. Now the chip leader, 31, almost 32 big blinds. You know, only in a couple of hands. It doesn't take much. Jackson's still going to keep betting. JJ with a superior jack. Anshul with the decision now. It's his turn with the ace-6. In the big blind. See how he wants to play it this time. Gonna call. Very similar hands to the last hand they played together. Anshul flopping bottom pair this time. Jackson with a range advantage.
Turn it back green.
Jackson. I believe they're fixing the pot.
Chips in the pot, I know that. Well, 250 is the small blind. Why don't you set that aside?
Give me one white.
He put in a white instead of a green. Yeah.
Instead of a green or a brown?
I'm colorblind.
Oh. I wasn't paying attention.
Jackson gonna range bet this. Does have the best hand. Bets small. This might get a peel from Anshul. Anshul does not have the best hand, but can improve. Not a good turn for Anshul. Jackson still with the best hand. Can continue betting for value. Can check this one back. Very unlikely to get 3 streets of value with the Jack-9 here. The question is, what street am I going to get paid on the most? And he thinks it's going to be the turn. Gonna bet small again. Really targeting a 6. A worse Jack. Anshul just folds. Pretty easy. We don't beat anything anymore. Other than Queen 10, Ace Queen, Ace 10. It's going to be hard to face a bet on the river. I hope so too. Jackson still keeping the aggression on, despite having taken a small blow. Let's see if this Jackson. We get Jackson on Jackson violence. Anshul with a very playable hand in the small blind. King 3 suited under the gun, little out of line. Actually, a lot of out of line, since he is no longer the chip leader. But I like the aggression. Now Shaw getting a great price with whatever he has. This can make a straight. It does make a concealed 2-pair. The price is worth admission. Shaw has deemed. All spades, 10 high. Jackson flops big. The other Jackson has the jack of spades. How much value can he get out of this? That is the question. Looks like he's going to cut out a bet of
17.
Yep. 1.7 million. Not a super big bet, but not a super tiny bet by any means. See what Anshul wants to do with top pair. Good kicker. Does make the call, drawing very close to dead, very thin. Nice, safe turn card. Jackson very much going to try and go for 3 streets. Try and get all the chips in by the river.
What this dealer's pitch is fucking awful. It's twisting me up. Huh? It's twisting me up. This pitch is just awful. It's just like the card are like flopping in the air. I could if I tried, and they're just like floppy. I don't know, just let it.
Anshul calls. And the river, Jackson has the nuts. Anshul does not have a hand that can pay him off, though. I mean, this is an unfortunate run. A 10 or a queen would have gotten him paid, but yeah, just instant muck from Anshul. Got bailed out by the river. I imagine he had plans on calling on some rivers. And just like that, though, Jackson is now back in the chip lead.
What needs to move?
Jackson, the commanding ship leader now, after being the short stack. Queen 8, weapon of choice for Shaw in the small blind. Jackson in the big blind.
I think you were ahead.
Yes. Definitely. Was ahead of that. The hardest I ever worked.
Good pickup. Shaw's still in danger though.
No, I go to my car each break and get one piece.
There.
Jackson putting the pressure on. Jajin 6 high, not going to do it in the big blind.
What time is it?
It's 1:45. My watch is right.
We've only been going 11 hours. That's it.
No.
We
Started
started
at 3.
Yeah,
They started at 3, not 2. Oh, they had a late start.
almost.
Almost, yeah. Shit.
Jackson saying they're playing 11 hours.
45 minutes.
No, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Ansho still with a sizable stack. Took a little bit of a dent in that hand, but gonna raise up the queen jack suited. Jackson with 5s on the button. After that big momentum swing, can start going at it again. Got a race, a slow race though. Flop, turn, and river one at a time. 5s still best. Not a great flop for Anshul to see bet on. You're kind of flipping a coin whether or not Jackson has a pair or 2 overs that fold. We don't have a real great plan. Jackson gonna call this for sure. Looks like he's cutting out, raising chips. Just right away, and man, this feels so bad. Jackson very aware of what Anshul has on this flop. And I imagine if any more resistance were to come, if
Can you get service? Thank you.
it would be a fold. But we do just pick it up with the best hand here. Jackson, the first player to cross the 20 million chip mark. Really separating himself. Jajin, Anshul sitting short. Shaw sitting a little bit shorter. Jackson slowly bleeding after picking up some momentum in the beginning. The pace of this game is now going to be controlled by Jackson. King 3 offsuit, not going to do it. See if Jajin wants to open the Queen 7 on the button. Doesn't. The computer hand. King Queen suited for Jackson and the small blind. Just going to rip it. I like this. Fold out all the equity. Just pick it up.
What time's Chick-fil-A breakfast open?
Jedi Master Ted, glad to
That's
see you
what
in the
time-
chat.
I
How you
wanna
doing
go
this evening?
However long Chick-fil-A breakfast opens. So 6 a.m. I want to go till 6 a.m. So right when we leave, we can get breakfast. Mini biscuits. What else? Hash brown.
Woo! Jackson planning how he's going to spend his prize money. Getting Chick-fil-A breakfast.
Sounds like a good plan.
It's a good plan. I like the Chick-fil-A breakfast. They do a good job. I like the spicy chicken biscuit. Two kings for Jackson. Image really going to help him here. 7-2's not going to cut it.
No. But I'm up
For JJ, he's fed up.
Can I get a PG?
Let's hope someone.
Cup of ice.
See what Shaw wakes up with. Queen deuce.
Blue.
Chipping on up.
Alright, fuck it. We're just doing a blind.
Shaw has reached that point in the evening.
What are you talking about over there? Whoa.
Shaw
Back to the day one strategy.
Shaw does some fun stuff. If any of y'all are familiar with Shaw out there, he's known very much so for going all in blind.
Oh, I'm colorblind. This is discrimination. Jesus, Mike. There, whatever. What color is this, by the way?
Got better.
Brown. Green, brown. Interesting. Uh-oh.
800 million.
Oh, he's gonna get called. King Queen suited is.
All right, I need a real count.
3.825. Oh no, 4.3. Sorry, I lied.
David Lyon. I don't mind this shove actually with his actual hand. Blind versus blind. This is pretty normal. Yes, Rebel, the stream is pre-recorded. It was recorded last night.
That's 3.
We didn't want to we don't overstep the other streams, the other TCH property streams. There's usually a priority one picked. Shaw at risk, 10-9. He needs a 10 or a 9 or a straight. King, Queen high, great. Now he has a straight draw.
Good hand. Good luck.
King, Queen high gonna scoop it out. David Shaw out in 5th. Congrats to him.
Come on, Mike.
Good run. David Shaw will be collecting $9,340 for his troubles. Good run, Dave. Now the next player eliminated will be collecting at least $12,930. That's a pretty big pay jump. Jackson running well away with this tournament. Has over half the chips in play. Anshul back in the danger zone. But the good news is Jackson and Jajan are pretty short.
Whenever it's on that other screen, I always forget.
Jackson with 6s is going to raise it up. King high. King 6 suited in the small blind. Jackson playing some poker now. Jajan getting a really good price with a 7-4 suited. May elect to see a flop.
Guess what I'm going to do? Any guesses? Check dark.
6 is still way out in front. Oh, no, I lied. Jajan connects with the 7. Now Jajan way out in front. Jackson could very credibly rep this if he wanted to. Could range bet small. Decides not to. Jajan and Jackson are content. Oh, Jajan going to turn his hand into a bluff. He's going to try and get a queen to fold. Blow out the equity. Maybe jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s. Get those to fold. Is betting with the best hand.
Instead of Chick-fil-A at 6 a.m., I'm saying ICM and Whataburger at 2:30.
I'm not a big. I like Whataburger, but Chick-fil-A breakfast. The biscuits are so buttery. They're so buttery.
That's a true statement.
Mike can
Chick-fil-A
attest.
biscuits are
This,
super
this is
buttery.
the perfect witness here, actually. When do I ICM? Never. I could have.
Rebel, it also might have been due to the late nature of the stream. They did not start this final table till
And I still would say
midnight.
I'm okay. I'm consistent. I don't like it.
I think they had the slot set up
If I were you, I would.
for the other stream,
It's working. What?
but it wasn't used, from my understanding, because the nature of poker tournaments is not always the same. Final tables and such don't start always when you expect them to. I do know that the final table for the Dallas stream will be aired, was pre-recorded and aired today.
Final table, the ICM Final Four. It's boring. It's no fun.
I was ready to do the commentary live last night. I was here and ready. But this is where we're at now.
Let's keep playing. Chick-fil-A.
Jajin calls the small blind with Queen 10. Queen 10 high,
Yep.
way the best hand. And the blinds will be going up in the next hand too. Just a little bit more pressure. 300, 600.
Chris.
Just a lot of pressure on Anshul with the smaller stack. Jajin correctly making the call on the flop with Queen High. Anshul really just repping an overpair here. Blocking Jackson 8s. Trying to get a hand like 5s, a 5, 6s. Good bluff by Anshul. Gets Queen High to fold. Gets the best hand to fold. Now the blinds will be going up. Stacks getting shallower. Jajin with 13, Jackson with 13.
Too well, so we better just stay till it's moving.
Anshul.
How late are you here talking about? Oh, really?
Rebel, we were using the stream table for this tournament. We did have other tournaments going on. We had a mega satellite going on, a single day tournament going on. I think that's it. And this was going on too. Big Chip getting put to work. Glenn, I was rooting for you. Always rooting for you. How'd you end up finishing, Glenn? I didn't check. This... I think this is a good candidate for a 3-bet. And so does Anshul. As much as Jackson wants to see a flop, Jackson wants to see a flop. He is going for blood. Top 2 pair for Anshul. What a dream scenario for 3-betting the ace-9 off and getting called. We have flop top 2 pair. Now how do we get the most? We even have the ace of hearts for coverage. It's a good run, Glenn. 16th. Nice little payday. I know you were shooting for better. Good bet sizing by Anshul. Really targeting those tiny pairs in there. Jackson ripping it and running into it. 6 high not going to work. And that'll be it. That was a very odd bluff attempt by Jackson. Very surprised. Now he's neck and neck with Anshul.
I mean, do you just have everything when I try to make a move on you? I mean, you don't even just have an ace. You have 2 pair. How much is it?
Very interesting hand. And just like that, like I said, Anshul and Jackson are now neck and neck.
Oh, yeah.
That's dangerous. Glenn, are you going to try and play the main?
Good effort, wrong time.
And for those of y'all that don't know, our main is starting this Wednesday. It is a $800 buy-in, multi-flight, 500K guarantee tournament. Yeah, there were a bunch of crushers left in the top 50. Some rough tables. $16th is good though. Honestly, a lot of times the difference between 16th place and, you know, a final table is 1 hand. Not necessarily the hand you went out on, but maybe an earlier hand had someone either not hit a flush draw, not flopped a set, etc., etc. Those types of things. It's just, it's wild. Poker's a wild game. Anshul defending? No, this is a 3-bet. I like this 3-bet. Jackson having to fold King 10 offsuit. Anshul's been playing on point for this tournament.
Fire.
Been playing on point for this tournament. Maneuvered very well through these spots. Jackson now with 2 8s. You're gonna rip it. Only 10 big blinds. This is pretty standard. King 9 suited. Also gonna give it some thought. Gonna discipline fold. As pretty as it is, it's not. Ace 9 suited in the small blind now, good enough to make the call. Question is, do you want to? It's only a little bit more if it's a tough spot because you're hoping to be up broadways, small pairs. In the spot, you're up against a small pair.
$62.25.
I can see Jackson doing both, folding or calling. Glenn, that would be a rough tournament if you got 16th out of 1,700 entries and you didn't cash. Some sort of super survivor tournament where only the final 9. Some ridiculously top heavy. Does make the call. And Jajan folds king high. Oh, he has a little bit less than I thought. So yeah, Jackson at risk, flipping for his tournament live. No ace, no 9. Still needs to dodge an ace or a 9. Big double up, big flip 1 for Jackson. Now Jackson with some playing chips. Jackson still has the other Jackson with an X, still has something to play with. He still has 16 big blinds left.
Some races, you lose some races. Like,
You do need to win your flips if you're gonna win a
how it is.
poker tournament. It's just how it is. You gotta win some flips.
Hi, Sam.
You down?
That's not bad.
No, I told you I never changed mine.
We had lots of people fire lots of bullets, so plenty. 4 seems to be on the conservative side. I imagine the average entrant spent around 4 or 5 entries. Eight three, 7-3, not gonna cut it. 6-5 suited, honestly, is good enough to jam. Just gonna make the call.
Under the gun. He's under the gun, goes all in. You have to call ace 9 diamond, but
It's a lot closer. I know you're hurting yourself on stream right now, Jackson, about that. Jajan flopping best. Gonna bet here on this flop, mainly for equity denial. Hope we don't get raised. Yeah, those are the important ones, Glenn. Rebel, that's if you had 4 is not doesn't seem like a lot. If you'd said 14, then I'd be worried. Local tournaments usually have local tournaments usually have smaller chip stacks and much more aggressive blind levels, so it's more feasible that happens. Jackson gonna limp the 9-7. Queen Jack suited, great look down at the big blind. We're going to be raising this blind versus blind first limp. I imagine. Jackson, for the larger sizing, just going to fold. Anshul now passing the 20 million chip mark himself. Nice chipping up. Jajan has had a rough go. He's looked down while the action's been flowing around him. Jackson? Premium on the button. We're opening a lot on the button, so this is a welcome sight. King 9 suited in the small blind? Can call, can 3-bet. Gonna go with the slower pace, gonna call. Gonna let Jackson come in if he wants to. I think the 8-4 is just not good enough. Jackson's thinks the price is too good though. Top pair, good kicker for Anshul. Or medium kicker. Middle pair for top kicker for Jackson. Just going to check it back. Versus the small blind, I don't mind this. There's going to be a lot of queen, jack, yeah, king. A lot of hands that are continued that you don't do well with verse. A lot of hands are going to fold too, and our hand doesn't need a lot of protection. Anshul, we're going to bet for value. Really hoping he gets called by a hand like ace-10, ace-queen. He hopes Jackson doesn't have ace-jack. Ace-jack would be bad news. Jackson's just going to let it go. Well aware of what Anshul's range is when he's betting here. Anshul could very well have ace-jack. I don't think very often. He's probably going to 3-bet it most of the time, but maybe ace-jack suited some of the time. Tim, sorry to hear that.
Is it hot up here or is it just me? It's just you. It's not hot up here?
It's unfortunately part of the way that's the oldest, the most classic of coolers in the game of poker. Aces versus kings.
There's no airflow. That's the problem. There's no airflow.
And with what the blinds are, it's going to be very hard to get away from kings preflop. I mean, these players were not often sitting greater than 100 big blinds. You have to be incredibly deep or some sort of wizard. And I've seen some absurd folds from some poker wizards before. This stream is going to end, Rebel, when this tournament is done, and they will be going to a new. And they will be starting up a new stream separate for the TCH Dallas event.
Oh.
Jackson cutting out some raising chips. Jackson by far the most aggressive player at this table. I like it. All of y'all that have listened to my commentary before know that I love aggression. Jason just been slowly chipping down. It's unfortunate. He's been on the poor side of the hand distribution system. Anshul sitting at almost 25 million. Jackson and Jackson sitting neck and neck at 9. Jason at 6.3. Just at 10 big blinds. 15-ish each for the two Jacksons. It's not a lot to work with. Ace Jack, welcome sight. See, just gonna rip it, 15 bigs. As Anshul dominated. It's hard to make a hand four-handed. It's also not great for the viewers sometimes. Four-handed poker is great, though. You get more actual poker. I'm going to limp the four deuce. Jackson can go both ways. He can check his option. He can raise this. Yeah, checking it, it plays pretty well versus the limp. Anshul just going to bet four high and take it down. See a lot more bluffing, four-handed, five-handed, short-handed. I love heads-up play. I can't wait till it gets down to heads-up. Heads-up is some of my favorite poker play of all. You have to do things that your range just has to be so wide. Super fun. So we're going to open Queen Jack off on the button. Threes in the big blind. I think we can shove this. Does make the call. They will be racing for Jajin's tournament life. And she'll need a queen or a jack. That's a jack. That is not good for the 2 3s. Now Jajin looking for a 3 close, but not close enough. And with that, Jajin will be eliminated in 4th place. Good run, Jajin. Jajin eliminated, getting $12,930 for his efforts. Still a good payday for that. The next pay jump huge. $18,870
You know what I
for
said
3rd
earlier, which is
place.
funny, I said, this is going to be the final 3. I didn't say that.
You did say Jackson.
I did say I'm betting on Jackson.
Jackson,
I also said
and
you're a
Anshul.
cockroach.
Anshul now
My
crossing the 30 million
predictions are
chip
pretty
mark.
good today. I said that right at the
Doing
beginning,
pretty good.
So basically predicted.
What a chip run up
Alright,
to.
whoever wins, it'll be a good one.
This will be a good battle.
Uh-oh.
That was a $6,000 pay jump.
I know.
That was a
I was
big-
well aware.
Thank you for going. Thank you for going.
I know. And thank you, dealer.
Yeah. Woo!
Close. 2 and 4 on the turn river. Like.
I think Jajin played it perfectly. You have no option. The button's going to be opening it wide enough, and then when we're called, we're going to be flipping. Can't do anything about it. At the mercy of the deck sometimes. And I think this is a spot where Anshul is just going to let the small stacks either do this and just wait, or will be the aggressor. Folds ace high. Once again, ace 6 is a hand you want to be calling with not, or shoving with not calling. Good pickup by Jackson. I imagine the way that both Jacksons play, though, there's going to be lots of shoving. I'm happy Rebel no chop. That's what I would do. I will say there is a form of chop I will agree to. If we're like 4 or 5 handed and y'all agree to give me first place as prize, then y'all chop the rest. I'm okay with that.
All in.
Yep, I think this is where we're at for this stage of the tournament. No one is scared to put the money in, so the money will be going in. Queen 9 not going to cut it. Two 9s, definitely going to go in the middle. Going to take some time. Going to think it through.
All in.
Yep.
Oh. Nice hand. Nice playing with you. Good work.
Jackson calls it off with the H3 suited. Anshul needs to dodge just an ace. Now he needs to dodge a queen or an ace. And he does. And with that, Jackson will be eliminated in third place. Good game, Jackson. Jackson will be collecting a cool $18,870. And now these two players will be playing for at least $27,560. First place will be leaving with $40,170. What a tournament. And
Do you want to look at the numbers?
Yeah, let's check the numbers.
Okay.
looks like they're going to talk about the numbers for chopping. Believe no chop.
Floor on 28, please.
I don't know. Could be wrong. We'll wait for a second. Onstraw has a 4-to-1 chip advantage. It's a pretty hefty chip advantage. I would like to see no chop. It's been a while since we've had a good heads-up battle on stream.
We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at the numbers. Thanks.
Well done to both of our players for making it this far. Not an easy task. And what a run-up for Anshul.
9.
Set at around 1.5 million at some point in time, is now a 4-to-1 chip leader, or has a 4-to-1 chip advantage on Jackson. Heads up. That's quite the advantage.
The good news is it'll always be fair, pretty much. It'll always be fair, pretty much. I mean, I'm pretty good at heads up, but it's like it's late. Yeah. I'd have to battle this for like probably. Yeah, but also like you know.
3Ks, 3Ks.
Yeah.
Y'all all know my school of thought on this. No chops.
How you doing? Good. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
I believe they agreed to a chop. I have been... Well, I'd like to thank y'all for joining me. See if I can have the numbers for y'all. But they agreed to a chop. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today for this final table for this 100K guaranteed here at Texas Card House Houston. Look like they chop. Unfortunately, I don't have the numbers available for y'all. But with that, I will say goodbye. I will see y'all this Thursday for the 2-5-10 No Limit Hold'em stream. And this, hopefully, I'll see y'all again for the resolution of the $800